what does it mean for the rest of us? What's the big takeaways from Trump winning the White House for the rest of us, right? In Britain, in Brazil, in Turkey, in the UK. Well, there are three things I want to say which we need to take away from the Trump victory, which I think really embody everything about 2016 and what a tremendously terrible year it's been. Number one, the status quo, politics as we know it, is over. It's kaput. We saw that with Brexit in June. We saw that with the Erdogan coup and a following move right in Turkish politics. We saw that with the impeachment of Dilma Rousseff in Brazil. Now we're seeing it with Trump. The centre cannot hold. That's been the case since the global financial crisis 9 years ago. We've seen that in very static GDP data, falling wages. We've seen that in a bunch of measures where standards of living have been sliding. And guess what? 2016 is a year the political overhead really came home, right? It really came home. We could see the cracks in globalization for years. People like myself, other extreme voices were saying a big change is afoot, okay? Politics is polarizing. We'll see the rise of charismatic authoritarian leaders, okay? We've been saying that. With Brexit now with Trump, that has decisively happened. Number two, the media is absolutely no lid on rising xeno-nationalist, racist, neo-fascist, ultra-nationalist politics, okay? The media is no lid on this thing. You've just seen a candidate who wasn't really liked by much of the institutional media in the States, didn't have much of a ground campaign. Even people within the Republican Party didn't want to help this guy. The central party apparatus was kind of like a go slow. His people were complaining in the days leading up to the result, and he won. How did he win? New media was a big thing, actually, right? Facebook was a huge thing. By the way, we now know that Facebook is a swamp of misinformation and crap. If you're watching this on Facebook, well, this is one of the few videos that makes sense and is based upon empirical data, but that's the reality of the situation, right? Media cannot keep a lid on this stuff. More concerningly is that liberal centrist media does not know how to deal with people like Trump and people like Bernie Sanders. And what we know now from the United States, the experience of the last 6 months, is that they'd rather give a guy like Trump a shot than a Bernie Sanders. That holds true for the Democratic National Committee, by the way, the Democratic Party establishment. They'd rather give a fascist or a neo-fascist a shot than a democratic socialist. Tells you all you need to know. You may have seen the Mars show on Sunday, Remembrance Sunday, right? And there was Marine Le Pen, the leader of the far-right Front National. She's on there on Remembrance Sunday, right? But as long as Andy Marr wears a poppy, 10 out of 10 respect, mate. Well done. No, but seriously, right? That's the relationship between institutional, big, centrist media. We think of ourselves as nice, rational people, and the far right. They give them platforms. Meanwhile, the same far right operates through lies, misinformation, bullshit in social media. And the rest of the media is being hollowed out, right? So you've got the BBC, yeah, you've got the New York Times, you've got the Guardian. Local media is being destroyed, right? Many of the media sources of the 20th century have been destroyed because there's no longer a market mechanism for that kind of information. Number three, well, what's number three? Centrist politicians are about as useful as putting a Durex feather-like condom over your head and trying to sweep up at Fukushima. I mean, they're no good, right? It's like putting a condom over your head and think you'd be insulated from radiation poisoning. Okay, they are useless. Later story, this is fabulous. David Miliband's going to come back from his cushy $600,000 a year job in the US to win the Labour leadership and beat Jeremy Corbyn and win Labour another government. If you believe this, you'll believe anything. I mean, how thick do you have to be? How completely at odds with all the information coming your way do you have to be? This guy was a $600,000 a year CEO at a charity in New York, David Miliband. You will make mincemeat out of this guy, okay? Centrist politicians have zero answers. That's been the case in the United States with the Democratic Party, with Sanders, now with Trump. And it's the case with the Labour establishment in regard to how it tried to undermine Jeremy Corbyn as leader constantly and then tried to oversee a coup. And now I think we're going to see David Miliband try and come back. And I think we'll probably see another coup either next year in 2018. So what's the big takeaway from all that? Well, I suppose we have to understand, like I say, which side we're on. It's barbarism or socialism. There really cannot be any middle ground. This is more now than just politics polarising. This is about deciding who your friend is and who your enemy is, who you'll stick up for and what you'll put on the line to do it. One, I suppose, point of succor for us is that Farage, Le Pen, Trump really have no answers. I mean, that's the politics of the far right, yeah? It has no answers. It doesn't have any answers. It's useless. In a world of massive migratory change and transformation, global climate change, declining, stagnant living standards, they have no answers. So we've got to have the answers. We've got to have the hope, we've got to have the energy, we've got to have the answers. We've got to say, look, here's your choice. Whiteness, borders, closed economies, declining living standards, okay? Or openness, hope, a world that works together, and abundance. creates richness in both lives, materially and spiritually, for everyone. I think we can do that, and I think a lot of people, once you have the conversations, once you get beneath that veneer, that's what they want too. But we've got to do it together, and we've got to understand that the centre, both its politicians and its politics, cannot help us. Furthermore, the media, the big money mainstream media, isn't just useless. I mean, it's degenerate. Of course we should engage the mainstream media, we should try and change it for the better. But more importantly, I think we should have a mission, you and me, to make 2017 the year of new media for the left, for a powerful media that has a voice which is national, which is global, which says we can have an economy for the many, not the few. That's a big challenge. I'm willing to put myself on the line. I'm willing to take some risks. I hope you are too. One thing with Trump, with Brexit, maybe with Le Pen next year, is that radical voices to an extent have been proved right. But we don't want to be proved right. We want to win. So let's go win.